Hello and welcome back to another preview here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. And Fulham head up to Goodison Park on Saturday. Not a ground where Fulham have got a particularly good record, to say the least. No point there in the league since 1959. It's a pretty grim record. Hopefully though, Fulham can right a few wrongs on Saturday. Here to talk all about the Toffees, I've got Ped from Toffee TV, a well-known Everton YouTube channel. Ped, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Looking forward to speaking to you.
Good stuff, mate. Well, let's start off talking about this record that Fulham have at Everton. It's a terrible record. It kind of used to work both ways. We used to be terrible up there, we still are, and you guys used to be terrible at Craven Cottage, but you broke those rules a few years ago, which upset us Fulham fans a lot. We kind of had a nice arrangement there. We give you 3 points, you give us 3 points, but you started breaking that towards the end of our last Premier League stint. How much does history count for anything on Saturday? Because we go on about our curse of Goodison Park kind of all the time.
Yeah, as you said, I think we haven't won there since 1966 until recently. It must count for something because we can't seem to win at Arsenal or Chelsea or Anfield or Stamford Bridge, and we only beaten Man United once in the whole of the time of the Premier League, twice in the Premier League, sorry. So it must count for something. I don't know why. I don't know why you can interchange a set of players and I can have different generations of fans and have different managers, and yet these cases seem to go on. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But I suppose it's a fresh Fulham team. There's no baggage on them on yourselves. You know, having coming up to break that and. I suppose from a Fulham point of view, there'd be no better time because Everton are in a bit of a transitional period at the moment. So we are usually very strong at home. It's the base of our form because we're just so bad away from home that we have to be good at home. But I think there's definitely a chance for Fulham on Saturday. I couldn't say categorically that we're going to beat you. So if you're going to beat us, this might be your best chance.
Well, yeah, I think some of us on our podcast were saying the same thing. This is a very different team to some of the ones in the past that were kind of daunted by a trip to Goodison Park. Why hasn't it started so well for you guys this season? You seem to be constantly in transition in the past few years, but you know, you have got a talented manager there in Marco Silva. You've got a squad full of brilliant players from the likes of Richarlison and Sigurdsson up front, Pickford and Keane at the back. There's a lot of talent. It just doesn't seem to be gelling quite so well for you guys at the moment.
I think you've just used the key word, gelling. I think, you know, this is an Everton squad that's still got players in it from the Moyes era. It's still got players from the Martinez era. It's got players from the Koeman era. It's got players bought by Sam Allardyce, and it's got players bought by Marco Silva. So it's still in a transition, and it's been in transition for 2 or 3 years. And what it needs is a period of just players and the manager knuckling down and finding something that works. And that might mean that, you know, players go out. Even good players might go out the door if they don't suit the style of play for this manager. They might go out the door. But at the moment, you know, we went to Arsenal last week, and it was probably our best performance at the Emirates or a Highbury for a long time, and yet we've still come away to, you know, getting beat 2-0 when Petr Cech has been the man of the match. So it's those little issues against West Ham the week before when we were beaten by West Ham. You know, we obviously being the home side, we created more chances. We had more chances on target. We just couldn't take our chances, and West Ham did. And I suppose in the Premier League, that's the balance, I think, between 14 of the, I'd say 14 maybe of the sides, maybe a few less. But, you know, if you walk away from that top 6, I think everyone else, it's who scores first and who controls the game. Whereas, you know, the top 6, they take control of games. And I think for everyone else, that's the case. And that's where we find ourselves at the moment. And for us, it's about being patient and just sort of staying with it for a little bit.
You're yet to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League this season. I mean, I look at your back 5 and I think that's some pretty strong personnel in there. Do you think then Fulham have a good chance of getting a goal or 2 on Saturday? Whether that means we win or draw, who knows? But it looks to us like we should have a good chance of going up there and at least, you know, causing you some trouble.
Well, I suppose that's what your manager will be thinking. If you can carve out a chance, you know, you'll you'll score goals, and I think that's what makes it entertaining for the opposition, is that they probably will come to Goodison and think, if we can nick, we will nick a goal, so let's try and nick a goal. Huddersfield a couple of weeks ago, not the most prolific side, they come up and we've had the difficulty with going between systems, whether it be man marking or zonal, and they played on that and they got a goal. And I think that plays in the minds of fans and the players. So we're inviting pressure, and because we are struggling, it seems at the moment, just to be able to find a goal, it allows the opposition to come and think, you know what, we can score here. What I would say is that we haven't had the same back four all season. We've had problems with Seamus Coleman's out injured. He got a problem with Ireland. Michael Keane had the incident with getting the head incidents down at Bournemouth. We started with Leighton Baines, and now we've got Luca Dean. We've had Jagielka, we've had Zuma, we've had Mason Holgate play centre-back. We're still actually waiting for one of our main buys of the summer, Yerry Mina, who we bought from Barcelona, to come into the side. He's still injured. So it's a back four that hasn't settled, and until it really does settle and we get a back four that we know we can rely on week in and week out, I think we will ship goals, because you're asking players to come into the side, adapt to systems, and that's always going to be a problem. So yeah, I think the short answer to that is, yeah, we probably will concede on Saturday.
You're preaching to the converted with back fours changing all season. We still haven't had the same back four since the first game. So two clubs with similarities there. Let's look through your team. Everyone likes to go on this season about how Richarlison is your key man going forward. He's the real danger man. I think we all kind of know his threat, and that's why he costs so much money for you guys from Watford. What other players, though, should Fulham fans look out for? Should the Fulham team be keeping a particularly close eye on?
I think Theo Walcott's actually still got a lot to his game. I think he's a player who's forgotten about in our team. I think for that last week he did okay against Arsenal, but got a bit of a nasty eye injury and had to go off. But that should settle down for this week. And he got an injury as well a few weeks ago, just before the international break, and he hasn't really been the same player since. So he's always a threat just with his pace. Yeah, I think Luca Dean, who we signed off Barcelona at left back, he's a real threat as well going forward. He seems to be the natural successor to Leighton Baines at left back, so he's been playing well. It depends who plays up front as well. Richarlison really is a big threat. We really missed him when he was out suspended, and that sort of. The games we drew with Huddersfield and we lost to West Ham, that was a major factor, was not having him in the team and not having that balance, because he really comes off that left-hand side really, really well. It's difficult to say whoever else. Gylfi Sigurdsson, if you can grab the game by the scruff of the neck, is an important player. I think he's created the third most chances in the Premier League this season, but because players are not putting the ball in the back of the net, you sort of miss that threat. You don't naturally see it as a fan. A lot of fans have been asking whether he's a player we should persist with, but when you see how many chances he actually creates on paper, it's far more than what you would expect. So he's a threat as well. Cenk Tosun up front, he needs a goal. First couple of games, you sort of looked at him and said, "Oh, you know what? He's playing really well. He's working really hard." But then, if he doesn't put the ball in the back of the net after 3 or 4 games, you start saying, "Well, actually, what does he offer?" So it'll be interesting to see whether he comes back in this weekend. But I definitely think Theo Walcott could be could have a major say on this game if he plays well and he takes his chances. I still think there's still a lot in the tank for Theo.
Everton and Fulham, two famous old teams going head-to-head this Saturday. Have you got any particularly good memories of playing the Whites?
Yeah, one particular one was, I think it was my 29th birthday, and Yakubu scored a hat-trick.
Oh, so that tells you,
people might be able to work out how old I am from that. Yakubu scored a hat-trick, and you know what? I've got a terrible record on my birthday, an absolute stinking record. So it was nice to actually to see Everton win on my birthday, but also Yakubu to score a hat trick, because he was just an absolutely fantastic player. So that's probably one of my best memories. And also another one was, I think it was David Moyes' first game, and we were desperate for a win. And I think David Unsworth scored after 27 seconds. We beat you 2-1. Duncan Ferguson, was it Duncan Ferguson scored, and I think we went down to 10 men quite early on as well, and we dogged it out. We got it, and it was a huge win because we were in real trouble that time. I always remember it because it was when Fulham had the Pizza Hut sponsor on the shirts as well. So the old Adidas, I think Steve Malbranck scored for you as well. Yeah. So that was another one I remember fondly as well. As you said, we always do well normally at home against you. We normally lost the game away. So mixed emotions when we play Fulham.
So it's my first time to Goodison. I was telling you this just before we started our chat, Ped. I'm very excited about the whole thing. I did Anfield a few years ago, but Goodison is a new one for me. So this is a particularly personally fueled question, but I'm sure there'll be some other Fulham fans as well that will find it particularly useful. What's the best thing about a trip to Goodison Park? Any tips for the day?
Goodison Park for me is still one of the best stadiums in the Premier League, and it's because it mightn't look like the best ground in the Premier League. It mightn't be that comfortable for you as an away fan. Obviously I've never been in the away end, but I don't hear particularly good things about it. But it's like going to an old-fashioned football match. It really is. It's got the smells, the sights, the sounds of an old-fashioned football ground. It's a ground that is surrounded by terraced houses and pubs and all the things that you were told about. I would imagine as a young fan, you would be told about where your dad went. Football's not like it used to be. Premier League's ruined it. All these things. To be honest, I suppose, and I'm not having a dig here, but I suppose being in the Championship, there might be a lot of similar grounds attached to some Championship clubs who haven't had the money to go out and build a new brand new ground. And as a Fulham fan, you'll know what your ground is like, and you'll know how romanticised you are with that, and how attached you are to that ground. And I think that's what you should experience from that. Come up and have a walk around the whole ground. Don't just go into your end. Go and have a good walk around the ground. You know, there's no dodgy alleys or anything to worry about. You can walk around the whole of the ground, and it's fine and it's safe, and there's no one, you're not gonna have any problems. It's a safe ground, and just have a little look and see the sights and the sounds of it, and you'll be transported to that old sort of fashion nostalgic old ground. And go in a couple of the pubs. Don't be worried about going in the pubs if you want to go in a pub as well. It's all good, and you'll get that the old sense of old fashioned football ground.
Do you think? Well, obviously there's lots of talk about Everton leaving Goodison one day for a more modern stadium with more capacity and more facilities and all that. And back in the day there was talk of Fulham leaving for bright new modern grounds. And for me, Fulham is Craven Cottage. If we ever left it, I just don't think it would be the same club. And I know other clubs have left old traditional grounds and are still flourishing. But do you have a similar feeling as an Everton fan that if you did one day leave Goodison Park, and it does seem inevitable in the medium term maybe, that something from Everton would be lost?
I don't know. That's the answer. And I tell you why I don't know is because I don't know what the new ground's going to look like. I mean, as far as the club are concerned, we are definitely moving. We've got the land, we've got the placements, we've got everything. It's one of these things. It's bogged down in all the red tape at the moment, and that's just one of those things you have to put up with. But as far as the club are concerned, we are moving, and until we see those plans, I won't know, because it's definitely not going to be one of these sort of soulless bowls. It's definitely not going to be like anywhere else. This is what we're getting. So we've brought in a world-class architect to design it, and where it's actually going to be situated on the docks, it's got to be in keeping with the area as well, because it's a World Heritage Site. So it's got to almost look like the surrounding old-fashioned warehouses. So I think it's going to be traditional but new. But until I actually see those plans, I'm not sure. But what I would say is that I think as a fan, we are ready to move. We've been sold this dream, and I think if it didn't happen, well, it'd be the third time in my lifetime that we didn't move ground. So I think a lot of fans are ready to move. But at the same time, because we haven't moved on those other two occasions, it doesn't quite feel real yet. So I don't think we've actually breach the subject. We don't, as a channel, we don't sit here and go and make videos about every single time there's an update, because for us it's just like, okay, we'll wait till there's a major update, then we'll make a video, because as I said, we need plans and we need things and we need a spade in the ground. And until that happens, we'll just be like, yeah, okay, we're getting a new stadium, we'll wait till that happens. So I look forward to that day, but I'm not really thinking about it till that day comes.
Fair enough. Right, finally, Ped, prediction for Saturday. Can Fulham break the curse, or is our misery going to continue?
I can't come on here as an Evertonian and as a host of as a channel and say that Fulham are going to beat us. I just can't do that. I have to send as many positive vibes towards my own club this week as I can. We've only won one game in the Premier League so far this season, and we desperately need a win, just to help the process. Obviously, everyone needs wins. So I'm going to go for Everton 2-1. I'm going to go for a close game, but I have to say I can't sit here and say anything else than a win, just because I have to, as a fan, send as many of those positive vibes towards my own team. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Everton.
Ped, I respect your thinking. You've got to. Yeah, if I was in your boat, I'd be doing exactly the same thing. Well, thank you very much for chatting to Fulhamish, Ped.
No problem. Been great to speak to you.
Yeah, likewise. And make sure you leave your predictions and comments below this video. Fulhamish will be back at the weekend with an on the road and also some fan cams as well. So see you later. Come on, Fulham.